another guest. Can you tell them your name and where you're from?
I'm Gerard Miller from Baltimore, Maryland. I'm owner operator of Altered Roots LLC, Altered Roots Conjure and Apothecary.
I am Loli Moon, and I am a mystic. I'm an astrologer, seer, and everything medicine woman. I am based in the north in Canada, but my people are from Jamaica. My roots are deep in the islands.
Hey people, hey lovelies. This is Toni. You can find me at Fat Black Luxury. That is FATBLACKLUXURY. And you can find me that everywhere on IG, TikTok, Twitter.
Oh, hello. It's me again. Go by so many names. The world knows me as Devante. I have to call myself a lot of different things. Baba Big Tree, Baba Cornhusk. The neighborhood chow man, the neighborhood obeah man.
My name is Giovanni Luna. I'm from East Harlem, and I'm here with my cousin Nikki to talk about sinners today.
I'm Iya Ajewole Osundara, aka Bruja Bantan. I am from Baltimore by way of New York.
So my name is Nima. I am from Brooklyn, although I live in the Bronx now. And I'm not really on socials like that, so you might not find me anywhere, but this is me.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Ace Blackwood from the Shadow Realm, aka the Midwest.
Hello, I am Miss Honey. I am from Southeast Michigan, born in Detroit, currently rooted in Detroit. I'm very happy to be here.
Before we even get into it, how many times have you seen the movie?
I've seen it 2 times. I'm trying to go for 3, but the IMAX tickets are draining me. I've seen it once in the 70mm, the way Ryan wanted us to see it. That was at the Alamo. Then I saw it again, like standard at the Alamo. But now I want to see it in IMAX, but them tickets are like, they're like Lucky Charms. You just can't find them.
So,
how many times have you seen the movie?
4. 4 times. Twice on bootleg, twice in theater.
I have seen the movie Sinners twice. I have been fighting myself for the 3rd time. I'm trying to spread it out a little bit, but I feel like I'm going to go this weekend to see it a 3rd time.
It has been 3 times so far.
I've seen it twice. One time I saw it in Tampa, and there was like nobody in there because, Florida. And then the next time I saw it in IMAX 70, at Lincoln Center, and it was completely packed and different energy, different vibe.
I wanted to see the movie, but didn't know when I could see it. And someone randomly hit me up to watch it. So that's my first time, but I literally plan on finding everyone who hasn't watched it and watch it every time with them.
I've only seen it once, but okay. But it was like one of them, like I tried not to blink. So I watched it through one time, but I feel like I watched it 7.
I'm not gonna lie, I've seen it once. I saw it last night. I am going again this weekend.
What were your initial thoughts? Like first raw thoughts, like from the first time you seen it, what was the first thing that came to your mind?
My first raw thoughts were Ryan is a genius. This is Michael B. Jordan's best performance, his best work yet. And my third thought, but this was probably also my first thought, is Wunmi Musaku is every fat, black, dark-skinned girl's vision in a powerful movie, and she is the epicenter of everything happening. And I loved it so much. Those are my initial thoughts.
The first time I watched it, my initial thoughts were, okay, I need to see this again. I already know I'm going to be thinking about this movie for the next 2-3 days, which turned out to be the rest of the week. I actually saw the movie the second time 2 days after seeing it the first time because it was just constantly on my mind. And it made me think about something I had mentioned earlier in the year about music being my favorite time machine. And I was just like, wow, look at how this idea I've been having about music and, playing all this different kind of music, going back in time, and then seeing this being so beautifully expressed. I was like, yes, this is exactly what I'm talking about. And it was just so beautiful, just a really good feeling, a very proud feeling, proud to be Black, proud to be in this work, proud to see a much better representation of the work, And I have my thoughts about that too, but just proud.
Okay, so this movie was a roller coaster of emotions for me. My Taurus nature was very grounded. But there was there was this and from the very initial beginning to end, there was a sense of groundedness in the movie. I think that's like my first observation that kind of captured me, because everything, with the coloring and the lighting and the language and the tonality of everything, the pacing, it all felt very like it took its time to tell this story, and it stayed very grounded. It was never too much or too over the top, but kind of very on a standard plane of just how we can view it and feel everything. And I think that goes to especially how it was shot as well. That Ryan Coogler, he talks about all these different, special cameras he used and all these different techniques, and like it showed so much. And that was my initial observation, is how grounded and how like impactful the visual and the feeling and the pacing of the movie was.
Did you know anything about the movie going into the movie? Like, had you seen the previews or anything like that?
I had saw maybe 2 previews, maybe a week before it came out. Like I had heard about it, but like, it wasn't in my algorithm for whatever reason. And then I saw one preview and I was like, wait, what's that? Just like, what's that? Is that a vampire I see there?
What were some of your initial thoughts, like, as you were leaving the theater?
Wow. I had a lot of feelings. I did not expect to cry as much as I did, so that was a little surprising. I mean, I'm always crying in movie, and the movie's always gonna make me cry, but I was surprised that I cried as much as I did. But a lot of it was just like, wow, that was really good. That was like kind of shook at how good it was.
A lot of the spiritual stuff stayed with me. I grew up Muslim and not Christian, so a lot of the Christian stuff, like, I recognize it from my grandmother and the things that she grew up talking about and saying. And so seeing the scenes in the church, seeing the things that his dad was saying to him, stuff like that stuck with me. And this idea of like what's evil, or even like the connections to Hoodoo, and seeing people respond to that in the real world, and how some people were like, well, I thought it was witchcraft, or I thought it was evil. I thought all these things around spirituality is what stayed, because I thought it was done masterfully. And even the fact that it's opening all these conversations, like, that to me was a part of why all of that was introduced as well.
Ryan Coogler loves Black people. Like, it wasn't like I didn't have the words.
I definitely felt like it was like a love letter to Black people, Black Americans specifically.
What came to mind immediately, Robert Johnson, and an act of veneration. This, to me, I got to see the space where we have these blues singers, we have these mythologized figures, we have these ancestors, but there's a lot of pain attached to them. And we do learn, duality and all this space, but we got to see Sammy live. We got to see someone live to the end of their life with success, with this story, with the transmutation. And to me, it was giving life. It was giving veneration. That was oddly my very first thought was Robert Johnson. My second thought was, holy shit, this is everything.
I was thinking about how that movie left me feeling the same way I felt when I saw Black Panther for the first time. And when I saw Black Panther in my time, I was like late teens, perhaps early 20s. And I had been all over the internet seeing like the inspiration for the costume design. Like, I was overwhelmed watching that movie with the amount of layers, the quality of the storytelling and acting.
The first thing that came to my mind was how beautiful it looked, like visually. And that's the reason why I wanted to see it in the theater. Because usually I'm okay with just watching, stealing, pirating shit online or whatever, and watching it at home. But I said, no, I'm going to go and watch this in person because I need to get the full effect, and I didn't get the beginning when they started telling the story. I missed that whole part. So I definitely needed to go back and really watch it and enjoy it in person.
Like, after you had some time to think about it, what was like something that like came back to you that you was like there was like a really strong point in the movie for you?
Obviously Annie. right? And not only because she was the woo-woo lady, the conjure lady, the hoodoo lady, the care that was taken in representing hoodoo, the care that it was taken about, because she's a bigger Black woman, right? And that she was a love interest, and there was, and also just as a fat person, right? Like there was ever no mention about her body. So to me, that really stood out. Or like, you know, her and this dynamic that she had with Smoke. So that really stood out to me.
Wunmi Mosaku is every fat, Black, dark-skinned girl's vision in a powerful movie, and she is the epicenter of everything happening, and I loved it so much. Those are my initial thoughts.
No, Wunmi was perfect. Like, and I've loved her in Lovecraft Country.
Yes.
I loved her in Loki, right?
Mhm.
Like, I feel like she plays this like authoritative role very well, but like this was something different. It was like a softness.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I was watching it, and immediately, like, there were so many parts of the movie where like I got emotional, where I cried. There's so many layers, of course, but with Wunmi's character Annie that she played in Smoke, my initial feels were just like, oh my gosh, like there's this powerful woman on the screen who her man basically follows her lead. He like beckons to her every call. He doesn't question her judgment. He doesn't question her discernment at all. She says move, and he says how fast, where to. And you don't see that often on screen. You don't see, I see Annie in Sinners as the power middle center of the movie.
My deeper thoughts were, okay, this is actually a spiritual call. You know, this is a calling to Jesus kind of moment, essentially. And I love the idea of the duality, of course, and how, you know, Smoke and Stack are used throughout the movie, and the entire theme of duality showing throughout the movie itself. And I think that the conversations that we're seeing now, it makes a lot of sense in terms of the spiritual perspective, and understanding that we need to understand who is our community, right? And aligning with people who really are about us and stand for us, people who ain't gonna just invite everybody into the spot, right? And getting very real and honest about who those people are. And I think that the division we're seeing in the conversations we're having now is also showing us, you know, who those people are and who they're not.
And you mentioned Annie, the hoodoo woman in the film. What were your initial thoughts when you seen her on screen and in the course of the movie?
Relieved. Because when it comes to female characters in general, when it comes to storytelling, especially Black women and especially spiritualists, I was very much, don't be on no bullshit now. Don't be on no bullshit. Like, I'm sick and tired of the bullshit, y'all. Don't be on no bullshit. And I saw Annie. I loved her down. I love her down. The actress that plays her is phenomenal. I saw her in Lovecraft, and I was blown away by her acting. Love Annie down. Love the way she represents us very well. I find in mainstream media, whenever hoodoo is mentioned, we're really botched. She was really done tastefully and respectfully. And I love how so many people point out the fact that she's like a plus size interest, and she's loved, and she's just whole, and she's just her. And I'm like, very much so. Like, I really have no flaws or criticisms for her character. Her character is real. She's realistic, but she's also virtuous, and she's gorgeous, and she sticks to her gun.
Walk up in Annie's house is covered in blue. She's dressed down in blue. Whereas, like, you knew who was going to be the knuckleheads, and you knew who were going to be the, like, even kill people from jump. This couple, Mary and Raggedy Ass wearing red, Annie and Cool Blue rocking their Carolinas. Okay, that setup. It was the babies coming to Annie's house for their mama. Oh yeah, mama said she need a little bit of she need to fetch a high John too. When he first drove up to the house, I was like, it's the open question. Who is this, right? And you figure it might be a mama, auntie, Granny, right? But I figured it was a hoodoo lady. Just didn't know what the relationship would be. Why did I think it was a hoodoo lady? Because it's just off the side of the road, at the bend in the road, under that big shade tree, got the stuff hanging outside, nice garden planted, swept, clean swept yard. I'm like, oh, he going to see the Conjure lady. That was first thing.
When we see a person that does a movie that they playing their twin, the movie's usually not good. It's very difficult to interact with yourself. Like, that's got to be a fucking challenge in itself. The first thing that caught me is like right when he's rolling that cigarette and passes it to his brother, like, oh, this is looking good. It's looking crisp.
Definitely felt like Smoke and Stack felt like two different people. Like
completely different.
Facial expressions, everything. Like the way they talk, like everything was so different. And I did like that passing off of the cigarette to each other. Like that was like, as somebody that worked in TV, like that's a very hard scene to execute. You know, like it takes a lot of practice and coordination to get that to look.
The facial expressions, even like it was so crisp. It was like.
It's the distinct moment with Michael B in which you have twins as the center focus. I was like, okay, yeah, this not. I was like, storytelling's back. We are so back.
You could tell by the women they picked, with the lifestyle they were living. You know what I'm saying? They were very different people, you know?
No, absolutely. I feel like where Smoke and Stack had like raw, like Smoke obviously had like a charming power to him. Like he was very like charming. Stack was like, I'm about my money, I'm about the business. I feel like Annie had like a soft power. It was like a nice little trio they had of this like soft power that she had of her soft power that complemented their power. What were some of the things that you enjoyed about One Me's portrayal of Annie?
So one woman, what was her last name? Was Masako? I want to respect the lady's name because she is another one that I have like seen in like one Lovecraft Country. Like she is just like top notch. Another one that's like, she's gonna be one of our greats because like she like brings this such a truth to the parts that she plays that is so just like it's hard to like not believe her, you know, like. From the moment we saw her, the moment she stepped out of the little cabin, one, you know, we share the same dreams in life. Like all I really want in life, and I'm praying to the ancestors and to all my gods and goddesses, to the Orishas, to everyone, the Agun, everyone. All I want is my little shack in the woods under a nice big tree and about 25 acres of land.
When I seen that little shack, I said, that is my heart.
That's my house. That's what I want.
All I've been saying, give me a little shack in the woods with my dog and my shotgun. Let me just live in my little garden.
You understand?
Oh.
That's all I want. I don't want to bother nobody. I don't want to harass nobody. I'm going to be a good citizen. Just give me my shack and my little tree and my two little dogs, you know, some chickens and some goats and, you know, and that's all I want. I don't want nothing else in life. And like, I felt that again. I felt that like that truthfulness come out in the story because like there's this. Of course, we all know this common thread without the whole movie of, you know, blackness and hoodoo and honoring all those beautiful magical things that come from our culture. So one, of course, applauding them for just honoring it in such a beautiful and masterful way. That it, in a way, has never really been done before. I mean, we've had movies that have displayed conjure and magic within our communities in the past, but this just felt really like almost right there, just like almost like right on the nose, and like it just felt so. I'm just happy to see us be represented in such a beautiful and also just like it's such a fun supernatural kind of way as well, you know. Even her little shack, you know, there was still a spookiness to it. It still felt kind of eerie and mysterious, seeing things hang from the wall and, you know, seeing the little bottles and different things. It's that kind of aesthetic and mystique that I love about us. That, you know, as much as the outside world will look at it and see it as like, you know, ooh, hoodoo stuff. Like we look at it through our eyes and we just see such beauty.
Yeah, so it's something I'll say what like I can say. It's something we find in Hoodoo, but we see it in a lot of parts of the African diaspora and other cultures as well. And it's one of the things that I'm interested in getting in depth. And Hoodoo is really lineage based, which causes people to see it as sort of like something unserious. Whereas with a lot of Hoodoo, people who have studied Hoodoo's history or Hoodoo anthropologists, they say, no, Hoodoo is like a spider web. We have many branches and subcategories. Yes, it's lineage based, but if we actually took time to structure it, we would see that, because come on now, African American spirits are very particular and very well structured, okay? But if we were to kind of like look at the umbrella facet of it, in our culture and many others, you see two main branches of red spirits and blue spirits. So the red spirits usually are, in their illustration, you see a type of red. They usually touch on themes of fire, prophecy, purification, healing. Sometimes the spirits themselves prefer offerings that are very, very spicy or brown alcohol based. Warrior spirits fall under that classification as well. For the blue ones, that's sometimes where you see the spirits that are old or detached from humanity. So they're so old they precede our time, or they're so up there that they're not really preoccupied by us as people individually and more as the planet. They can be more cool-headed. They sometimes like white spirits, white wine, and have connotation to the rivers. And many spirits fall in between both. It's not an absolute thing, but in Hoodoo, it's why I see a lot of people have lots of red or lots of blue, and some people that prefer the fire in the forest and people who prefer the waters. And when we meet each other, we're like, I've never seen a Hoodoo that likes this. And I'm like, we're not opposites, no one's wrong. Some of us really show those two branches, and you can see it in Michael B's character. The red twin is more cocky, he smirks more often, he's very much a daredevil character. At the end of the movie Sinners, he's the one that becomes a vampire. Red spirits are often the ones that are villainized, not because they're evil, but because they are the ones that sort of rebel because they stick to their guns or they stick to what's really going to help warrior spirits, right?
The interaction between Smoke and Stack when they went and found the truck in the field, and they opened it and they saw the snake, and just like the swiftness of that snake action and how he just stabbed it, it just felt like it reminded me of like my uncles or like my grandfather or something in Trinidad, and watching them like kill animals, or like, you know, just some it just felt very very familiar. And there was something very, very conjury about it, is in the way they move, and then plus with it being a snake as well. You know, it's very rare in movies you see things in that manner, the way it was expressed. Because one, it was a great like CGI of the snake, like, it was really, really good, and then two, it was just the way that they were both able to interact, and you can see their interaction, how one had the knife, another one caught it, and this, you know, it was like such a swift movement, and that just started to show their relationship in a very interesting way, because like we all know about twins and we all know about, you know, their interactions and stuff like that, but being able to see it in this way, seeing what they were able to do and how they were able to go around and interact, it was very, very capturing, you know, in a special way, because they fed off of each other, but yet you can still see that there were certain things that they were reaching out to the world for, that kind of showed a certain level of humanity in them that wasn't really present during their own singular interaction. But once they kind of went out into the world and met with other people, then you start to really see like, oh, the different personalities and different interactions, and how each one was a lot more stoic and militant. The other one was a little more mindful and intellectual in a kind of a way, and I guess softer in a kind of way. It kind of just showed the dichotomy between them that was very beautifully done, I think.
It's like, girl, marry. Because I was going to say marry. No.
It was like all of this, you know, I loved this very layered conversation around colonization, around assimilation, around appropriation, around people forcing themselves into spaces, because she forced her way into the juke, right? The man wasn't trying to talk to her at the railroad station. He was trying to shake her then. she forced her way into the juke joint, right, and got by. Oh, everybody knows her. That's man, like, right. And even when she got in, he's like, "And why are you here? Like, leave. Like, what?" And it was just like, "Damn, girl."
Me and your mama arranged for you to find that nice white man in Arkansas,
and you here because
so you could go and have a better life. And he's like, and I thought it was it was also powerful that, I mean, both the women were in charge in those relationships, but both the twins were like, "Do I have to say it? You want to make me say it? All right." And they both say, "I love you, shoot," and then laid all the other stuff out. But he's like, he explained, he was like, "I wanted you to be safe, and that wasn't going to be with me. So I made sure you was I." That was the economy of passing back then. I care so much about you. Yeah, we grew up together. Yeah, you were my first and I was yours. I love you. In that act of love, I'm gonna put you away, so you can have something that none of us can have. You can be out there with them. And then
I don't wanted that, and not this and the third. Like,
the pain of passing, the pain of passage.
All
Okay,
right.
cool. But it's also that thing, right, where small southern communities, Mary going back home to Mississippi, everybody knew what she was. The white folks knew, black folks knew.
They a state or two over to Arkansas. You couldn't be. Nobody was going to accept that you was white here. We already know you.
Right.
We know your story.
And so she could. It was stupid because if an outsider had been around, it would have been a whole different situation. So she could pop off at the mouth of the train station, as provocative as it was, because everybody around knew, oh, that's that, and there's that half caste girl, there's that octoroon girl. They knew. But like in our little town, you can be married, and we know that your great granddaddy was black, but that's not how you show up to the rest of the world. And we talk about ambiguous blackness versus unambiguously being unambiguously black. We talk about all the paper tests, the paper bag test dynamics.
Mary pissed me off as a character. I mean, you gotta have one character that's like, gonna push your buttons. Like she just did it for me. I was just like, oh God. And I'm like, I don't know if this is a heavy-handed, don't trust them white women's message.
I mean,
but it was
that was my takeaway from it. It was
okay.
It was just leave these white lady, not to quote Dr. Umar, but you may not bring your white wife. Leave her at home. Stop inviting people to the cookout.
Stop inviting people to the cookout.
Stop inviting
people
to the cookout.
The cookout is actually canceled until further notice because
just enough.
Y'all don't know how to handle.
Actually, don't invite me to the cookout because who all gonna be there based on y'all list? No, thank you.
Conversely, I mean, I can't say it without saying it, but Mary had that white woman's illusion of power.
That afternoon power.
That white privilege that really ain't do nothing but cause more problems than it solved. And coming in thinking she was doing something, and it was like, girl, if you would have just went home to your white husband, this whole movie would have been over an hour ago.
You would have just did what Stack told you to do. Because in my second watch, I assessed. I was like, oh, so hold on, selling ass, setting up marriages. I'm like, oh, so Stack was her pimp. Okay, got you. So he set her up to, go live somewhere, go live a little lovely life. And here she go coming back, bothering this black man. Like, girl, if you don't just go and sit down, but there is that temptation. Like, there's the fetishization of it all, where it's like, I'm like, yes, Stack and Mary, I believe, like, had a love for each other. But it wasn't a soft, endearing love that Smoke and Annie shared. It was definitely like the flip of the coin where it was toxic. It was like a pull and push kind of love. And the irony of it is they ended up being able to live together, right? Like to live forever as vampires, right? And be together in that kind of capacity. Which again, for me, represents the toxicity of it all. It's like, y'all don't get to see the light. Y'all only get to see the darkness. Versus Annie and Smoke ended up being together on the other side with their baby, living peacefully with the ancestors. And that is what they get to experience because their love was so pure.
in the grand scheme of things, the baby was in the best place, right?
The baby was in the best
The
place.
baby was the safest person in the whole fucking movie, actually. Everybody in that movie was fucked. The baby was chilling. The baby was cool.
Baby's like, I'm just waiting for y'all, actually.
The baby, because could you imagine if she had a baby at home that she worried about? She might have went out like Grace.
She might have. People were too hard on Grace, and I don't particularly care for that, but...
What did you think about that scene in the juke joint?
Okay, the juke joint. The heart and soul of this movie. Again, another extremely spiritually emotional just roller coaster. Like, just watching that whole juke joint scene. Before even the musical veil opening thing, just like, again, the interactions that you would see Smoke and Stack and then the other characters having before the party, while the party's happening. It's just like, like growing up, we used to watch like certain music video on certain TV, like, oh shit, I wish I could have been there. I can't wait till I get old enough, I could have been there. And that's how I felt like watching that. I wish I was old and I could have just been there, because it felt so, again, real. Like, we were watching a juke joint, but I swear to God, like, the energy in itself reminded me of, like, again, you remember them back in the day, Brooklyn Flatbush basement parties used to have, just like hot and sweaty and just like loud music and everybody's vibing, like.
And then there's some food cooking upstairs.
Walk in the
backyard, Exactly. Somebody, you come in, somebody give you the lay of the land, like, okay, go over here, get a plate. Go over here, we have a little drinks. You can put your coat here.
Exactly. Yeah. That in itself was the common theme from that scene, because once oh my God, what's his name? Homeboy with the guitar. Sammy. Once Sammy started playing that song and the veil of the heavens opened and we started seeing the cultural similarities between the music he was playing and the past, the present, the future, and how they all were this kind of multi-blending in this beautiful way, it just goes to show just how amazing we are as Black people. Because this one room, this one moment, these brief hours before the sun rises represented so many different generations of just who we are. It's like this same thing still happens. We still do it. And we saw it played out throughout different times, different continents. We saw how certain dances from Africa were the same dances we're doing right now versus the same dances they were doing in the 30s. All of these things never change. It's just sort of, we evolved in such a beautiful way. And our music is the thing that connects that every time. Like, if you think about Black people, there has to be some kind of music playing. Like, it's impossible, like, to say that we are who we are and there is not a musical vibration that follows that.
Absolutely.
Like, there has to be in everything we do.
Were there any parts that made you particularly emotional?
Woo! I mean, yes. I mean, the juke joint scene, when Preacher Boy starts to play and we go through that time machine of music, from the past to the future, to the present, to the future, to the past. And then all the other ancestors are being called in as well. That was, very deeply, deeply emotional. Caught me completely off surprise. That first time I was like, wow, okay. And just sat there silently, just to eat it all up. Definitely had some tears in that moment, for sure. Made me think about, of course, the ancestors and how far our people have come and how we have used music as a medicine, as a tool to not just express our love for ourselves, but our liberation and spirit, And I just really, really, really think that scene portrayed that very well.
Was there any scene in particular that stood out to you? Like that I mean, the whole movie is just a series of fantastic scenes, but like, was there any one in particular or any two that really gave you some pause?
Oh my God, so many. So of course, like, I know a standout scene that a lot of people are probably gonna say is, you know, that scene where he's humming and that hum calls the generations to the space where everybody's dancing past and present. That stood out, of course. Amazing, beautiful. But something that stood out to me that I think was a quieter moment, and I will probably misquote it a little bit, but it's when Delta Slim, played by Delroy Lindo, Delta Slim is saying, we brought it with us. It wasn't from here. We brought it. And when he said that, and throughout the whole movie we see it, but when he said that, it brought the continued understanding of, I'm looking for the right words because it was a crossroads honor. The entire movie was a crossroads honor. The hates were seen and celebrated. The good was seen and celebrated. The bad, the evil, the blessing. Every story that we are a part of, however, it was all there. We brought it with us. So that one phrase to me. And then also at the end when he said, you know what I mean, y'all gonna have to get to Delta Slim before you get to Preacher Boy. And then he said, Delta Slim last call. And that just... I still don't have words around it. I'm not eloquent or articulate right now because there are so many tiny moments. But that Delta Slim last call, because to me, it made me think of protectors. So when we're in conjure, or when we're storytellers, or if you get called a griot by your elder in your community, that's a community-given thing. But you are also, ideally, you also have the responsibility of handing that down, right? That's something that I think is very Black, is we hand down the gifts we have, the stories we have, the medicine, the knowledge. Like, I have an elder, you know, who's my mentor, who teaches me. You have elders that you've learned from. Well, Preacher Boy didn't necessarily have a long time with an elder who was supportive of his gifts, who wasn't trying to make him do necessarily one direction or the other, but just supportive of his gifts. Delta Slim was, in this time, in this one moment, we are of a lineage, and I'm going to affirm that you are blues, and they're going to have to get to me before they get to you. So I don't know, something about that really stood out to me.
That one scene, the music scene where Sammy starts singing, and then kind of that moment of like that conjure of like the past, the present, and all of these things interwoven into that one scene. I started crying there. I mean, I cried before that, but that definitely, I was like, oh, felt that in my shindo, felt that in my spirit.
The part that I walked out with was these cotton pickers standing up in their dignity, going to have a good time. And I left with that feeling of strength and respect and dignity and poise.
The thing that I liked about the hoodoo element, and this is something as I know practitioners we contend with, is like how the work will work for some things, but it won't work for that thing, right? Where he was like, why didn't this help the baby? Why didn't this save our baby, right? And she was like, okay, bro, I don't know, right? I don't know, but also I know it protected you, and like it was still protecting them throughout that whole night, right? And I know that is something that I struggle with as a priestess, where it's like, you know, you do your ebo, you do the work, they tell you in divination this gonna happen, and then it don't happen. You're like, but why? Y'all didn't you? That's a very real thing, right? Like, and I thought that to me also brought a level of realism where it's like, she's not the magical Black mammy saving everybody, and that it's not that the magic doesn't work or the work doesn't work, but also it's just the way of the world where it does not work for every single situation.
And how sometimes, like, you can get divinations, we all get divinations. They only telling you a very specific piece of the story. They're not telling you the whole thing. Even when you get your life reading and all that,
right? They're
telling you some things. Okay, don't this, don't that, don't this. You know, avoid that. They still not telling you word for word what's going to happen.
You're getting a snapshot.
Like, you're just like, here's a little something to tell. I personally don't think that humans can like properly process all of that information. Like, and if somebody told you every single thing that was going to happen, it might force you to do things. Like, you might just be like, I'm just never going to leave the house because I can't deal with this type of shit. You know, like, it's a little too much. They're like, you still got to live your life. Still got to be human, make your mistakes or whatever. But like, we don't want you to die. So if you don't want to die, don't do this.
Right.
All right.
Well, some of the takes I've been seeing, of course, from the, you know, the Black spiritual community has been very beautiful. There's been a lot of think pieces and, you know, thoughts and ideas shared about people's personal practices, which I've enjoyed, reading, and people putting together different parts of the movie and understanding their perspective and what they saw has been really, really interesting, of course. And it reminds me about all the different ways that this work can be approached, and how everyone's path is very, very different, but we're all basically mostly doing the same thing. Now, on the flip side, though, of the community who's been engaged in this movie, it's been a lot of, this movie is anti-church. This movie is anti-Christian. And if you're a believer, be mindful, because there's a lot of black magic in it. And they're not referring to the vampires as the black magic. They're referring to the couple of scenes where Miss Annie got, her high John. She prayed over a yellow candle, said Ashe one time, and everyone's freaking out. So both sides have been entertaining, though. Personally, I will say, as a Libra, I love the mess. I'm enjoying the conversation.
And then, him wearing the mojo bag, right? Like, never taking it off. And she pointing out, who do you think has kept you this long, right? Like, whose prayers you think is working? And things like that. And I've talked about this with other people, and I'm like, oftentimes you don't even need to believe in something that your partner or your person or your family member believes in for you to accept what they're giving to you. You just have to believe in that person. And that is what Smoke displayed. Even though he struggled to believe in hoodoo, he struggled to believe in the magic that was that Annie possessed, right? He stood 10 toes down behind Annie. He was like, you believe in this and I believe in you. So if you says this works, then by all means it works. Like, the moment that they found the vampires and Annie said, yo, these are vampires and we need XYZ, he didn't question, he fell in line. He said, do as my missus says, like, because I trust her, I don't know what she's talking about, but I believe what she's talking about. And we could get so far if black men would really just fall in line like that. Like, you don't need to believe everything I'm telling you, but I need you to believe in me and what I'm saying.
I was thinking, I noticed on my last viewing that the roles of that was like he was protected, like his violence, that Smoke had to be violent and calm in his violence, so Stack could live freely and be crazy and live a crazy life. And even in the end, Smoke went out protecting everyone, while Stack got to live on and party forever and hang out and go to clubs and be a vampire and live eternally and be young forever. So it's like when you touched on that twin spirit, you're absolutely correct. Like, they had to have some sort of knowledge of that, because if you know what that spirit is, the one that appears to be the trickster is the one that's more calm and more, like about their business, while the one that looks more about their business is actually the one that's, a little bit more on the jovial side. You know what I mean? It's a cross kind of thing.
Smoke went out. Smoke made sure to protect everybody still, like, even in his final moments, it was like, I'm going to get rid of this section of the clan, and like, they're not going to be terrorizing the community, right?
Right. He got shot, he didn't even care. He looked at it, he was like,
whatever,
whatever.
But it just made me think about, even like you said, to the very end, he was always thinking about protecting others, about taking care of others, even about following orders, like when Annie told him, like, yo, no matter what happens, you better make sure you better do it, and how he loved her, and he was like, I know that was hard for him. He probably was like, damn, I don't want to lose my girl. I lost my brother.
He had to follow orders. He was a soldier. You gave me a command, boy. Remember, like, you just gave me a command.
I'm talking directly to the camera, not to Nikki now. Black people, pay attention to the words that you use, why you use them, what they're supposed to mean, and what you mean by them.
And it's interesting, like, Sammy's father was so adamant that he, participate in the church and use his gift for the church. And it was like, I thought it was interesting that Sammy comes back to the church, literally went through hell and high water, went through the hell of his life, probably the worst night of his life. And no one in the church embraced him. Nobody asked him if he was okay. Nobody, and it was just like they immediately went to like, you know, this is what's gonna I told you this was gonna happen. And it was just kind of like, I saw someone make a good comment about how Sammy's father, like the power of the tongue, and how his father cursed him and said, like, you know, you keep doing this and the devil's gonna follow you home. And like, how many Christians walk with this like fire and brimstone, you know, fearful mentality, and like speaking such negativity on things, not realizing like, okay, so you spoke all that negativity on him. He is in the water doing Our Father, okay, and Remick is saying it with him, right? So, all right, our fathers, our prayers, all of the stuff that you taught him, that's not what saves him. It was the devil's instrument, right? right? Which was given to him by your nephews, you know, which was owned by your brother, right? So like this ancestral instrument, is what drew this entity, but also slayed this entity.
He knew that 2 Corinthians verse by heart. Could preach off of it like that. But it didn't feed him. It didn't stir up his soul and his spirits. He couldn't have done in the same way in the church house on Sunday morning what he did with that guitar in the juke on Saturday night. That was where his power lay. Was in where the thing that he actually was born to do. And what was Remick's thing? And his, like, why was Remick literally attracted, like drawn to Sammy's playing? It was because of that heart, because of the difference between being a musician and being a griot Wumi. The difference between being somebody who plays the guitar and being a jelly, which is the Mande term, is that authenticity, is that spirit, is that you're putting your own heart into it. That's what brought the ancestors out. That's what connected that Zaoli dancer from Ivory Coast to the b-boy, to the dragon dancers. It was that heart. And Remick said it out of his own mouth. He's like, well, I get you on, you start playing, and I can call, and Remick wanted to call in his own spirits. He wanted the ancestors, well, he'd been alive for a long time. He knows a lot of people who have died from where he was from. You could draw up this music and the ancestors gonna show up. So that means if I can get you to play this music, Remick, I don't know, was like, can I see my daddy?
You know, we see the flash at the end of the beginning, right? But when Sammy goes back to the church and his dad's like, put it down, like put the music away, like come be with God, give your life to Christ. And Sammy's still like, no. And I'm still gonna go, right? Like you could have had the worst experience, which it was the worst experience of his entire life. Literally saw his cousins, the girl he was feeling, all decimated and dead. And he still was like, actually, no, thank you. And that's not to say he abandoned Christianity, right? Like maybe he came into his own version of an own relationship with God and Jesus, right? Whatever. But it wasn't that. And he said, yeah, it's still not going to ever give this.
I loved how the church house was all white. Everybody was dressed in it all white. But I also loved how that was like such a stark contrast to Annie's house. Mm-hmm. And you know, this concept of people thinking like, oh, like white it's pure, it's this and that. But it's like the boy came back from literally that most hellish night of his life, and not one person embraced him. He walked in, clothes torn, bleeding. Not one.
They tried to stop him at the door. In fact,
not one person said, "Oh my God, are you okay?" Like not one person. In that I said, "Damn, if this is not an indictment against the church right now," because truly. Nobody even checked to see if the boy was all right. He clearly looked like he was traumatized.
Two things. One, again, stuff that Ryan put in there for black people, black Americans specifically. Because when he opened that door at the beginning and at the end, it gave Suge and them walking into the daddy's church
Color Purple.
at the end of the Color Purple. It literally gave Sinners Have Soul 2 Daddy. Like, that was, and if you know, you know. That was auto code. It wasn't in the words that were communicated. It was in the shot. And I'm like, here come this blues guy. Suge was a blues singer. Here come this blues man.
Straight from the juke joint.
Straight from the juke joint. Straight from the juke. Into his daddy's church. And then the daddy comes, open his arms, and embraced him. Like, that's...
There's a moment when you almost get taken over.
Yeah.
If you ever been taken over by the spirit,
Yes.
there's a specific moment right before it happens where you could tell, like, oh something's happening. Oh shit.
I'm going.
Yeah, like I'm like you really within the vibe is so good that you like, oh, this is how you get swept up in the spirit. And like we're stomping, and I'm noticing, I'm like, we're all stomping on the same downbeat of the drum. And that really means something.
Yeah.
But like you got dozens of people in a room just woof, woof, woof. And the drum is going boom. And then they will hold the drum for a second and you just hear everybody singing. And then you just feel this like tingling sensation. And then you have like sweat. It was so the juke joint represents all of that, right? All of those different places where we go to catch the spirit and allow it to move in our bodies. And that's why a lot of people don't really understand, okay, what's all this noise happening in these people's church? They think we just in there making noise. It's like, it ain't about us, honestly. Like, I definitely felt like when I'm singing and dancing in a function, it's not me that's singing and dancing in the function. It's them that's singing and dancing in the function. And it's just through me that it's happening. And it's everybody that's there too, like everybody. So that's also why the energy feels so high, because it's like, oh, it's not just the 50 people that's in this room. It's actually 300 people that's in this room.
Exactly.
It's 1,000 people that's in this room.
Exactly.
And it's everybody from all these different places and time that's coming towards, because we're all coming here for the same purpose, which is why when you see Remick outside of all of that, that's why we have certain things that we do before to make sure that certain things is not coming in, because they're gonna come. Because when you can't raise up the energy like that and don't think that something is not gonna be like.
To this day, I don't care what it is. And in my family, we have a party, barbecue, get together, lime, whatever. Make sure to throw some rum over there and deal with the things. Like, and people take those little simple things that we do within our culture for granted. Yeah, yo, pour some for the homies. That libation is one of the most important tools that we have within our culture, because it is not only a ceremony of honoring, but it is a source of protection. We gotta do certain things before we get here, because when the energy gets so high, you will attract anything, any and everything. And especially us, when we're a light the way that we are, it's like you said, it's like amongst my spiritual family, we talk about this a lot. It's something that I've coined, the science of spirituality, right? Because spirituality is very scientific when you think about it. Okay, when we're talking about sound, frequency, vibrations, right? All of these things happening simultaneously when we sing, we drum, we clap our hands, we stamp our feet. We're creating electricity, we're creating heat, we're creating all these different. Where all this kinds of atomic combustions happening around us, all different types of things is happening. And we talk about spirit being spirit, it being down to the molecular level. When we are starting to vibrate differently and we change the molecules in the air and the temperature changes and the air gets thick, we are literally changing and transforming our environment. We're able to, through our rituals and through our just being, our music, our song, our vibe, we can create things.
And the ancestors were there. He had an ancestor hanging out with him at the door. And the other ancestor wasn't having fun. He was just hanging out with him at the door.
Yep.
And I peeped that. I didn't notice that the first time. But then when I saw it on the big screen, I was like, oh, look, like, he got a doorman with him. So, I don't know. There's stuff like that. Like, I thought that was maybe not like funny, like ha ha, but like funny, like it made me like inner life. Like,
Now, what did you think about Remick as a villain?
Let me tell you something. As a storyteller, I love a character. Remick was perfect. He is freaky looking. He is freaky acting. He is devilment. And the actor that played him well. One thing that I've said in the discussions I've had with people about Remick, Remick is perfect to me, not to be that person, because he really embodies the archetype in many European folklore stories of like a devil, in which the devil character, because people hear the devil and they're like, oh my God, Satan. A devil character is more like a malevolent trickster. In those stories, that devil character is very scary, but very unserious. So in a lot of folk tales, you'll see this devil character who's violent, treacherous, and scary, but he's borderline like a comedian and unserious. That sort of crossroads trickster mercurial spirit, and he really embodies that archetype from his Irish and European roots, because he's unserious.
Like when Remick was outside and he was like, is it because...
Yeah.
No, when I say I cried, like when I screamed, because we do that, right? Like we be like, look. And I do that at work. I do that when I'm in mixed company and you don't want to say anything. You be like, it's cause, and like just to see that, and then when he was like, well, how'd she get in? And I'm just laughing because I'm like, we got in my family, we have like some random white people who, like, honestly, as kids, we didn't like read them as white. Like now as an adult, I could look at the pictures and look back and be like, yes, that's clearly a white person. But they're here with us. And it's very black ass family function. They are all the family functions. They talk like us. They do everything. And at some point, I never forget, me and my cousin were arguing with my aunt, his mom, and was like, Aunt Dot is not white. And she was like, Aunt Dot is a white British woman. What are you talking about? We're like, what about Uncle George? She was like, Uncle George is white too. We're like, no, wait. Like, we was like arguing with her about these white people. And it's like, they married into the family. They've been in the family before we were born. They've been at every function. So when Annie said, oh no, she's family, it was like, that's like very black experience.
And those kinds of things become a light and an attraction to the people who don't necessarily belong, to the people who aren't necessarily a part, and they want to be a part, because we are a light. We are, that great. They want to be like us. They want to sing like us. They want to dance like us, And that's why Remick's characters and all of their characters played, the villain so well, because that message kept coming through. It's like they want to be a part of us so bad. And you can see why. Because when we all get together and start shaking, whew, it's so nice. It's so nice. We open
beautiful.
We open the veil of the spiritual and the carnal world, and we're able to dwell with our people, past, present, and future. That's a powerful thing to think about, and when people can't have that, they get mad, so they want to suck our blood.
I believe the Sinners podcast have released like these little news clippings to kind of like add some context and layer to the story. So according to the news clippings from the Sinners podcast, there is a news article, I believe, from 1912. So the movie takes place in 1932. The news article is from 1912 in Boston and says that a ship arrived in the harbor in Boston in 1912. No survivors, right? There was blood and everything, and there was one man seen running from the scene. One man was seen running from the harbor with smoking, right? So we're gonna assume that that's Remick, right? So let's assume that he came in 1912, and now 20 years later, it's 1932. In 20 years, there's a lot you could learn about the American racial project, right? Like you could learn a lot in 20 years. As an outsider, but then also as a white person, but then also as a vampire, right? Like there's a lot of things that he could have learned in that time. So he might not have, he probably didn't come over here with any racialized things, right? Like even as a vampire, but once he got here,
20 years.
But I love that, and it makes so many thoughts come to my mind, because on the one hand, yes, like the racialization will sink in, especially if he's moving as a white man. But then I wonder, how grown was he when he got here, and how deep is his hatred for certain kinds of betrayal? Because are you going to use this to try to get as many black people as you can to get back at the people who hurt you, like using us as pawns, even if you don't fully believe? There's so many mental gymnastics that white people be going through to get their own ends, to meet their own ends, even if they don't embody every level of hatred. It's like, wow, just your ignorance and selfishness and desire for your own fulfillment becomes a road of evil. That's nuts.
All right, so honestly, Remick has probably been one of my favorite villains. Okay, because I low-key, and I've been battling myself, why do I feel this way? But I low-key do sort of empathize with him in a kind of way, only because, like, I feel like as much as he was the villain, there was some inkling of, like, truthfulness behind him, because remember, we spoke about this before, like, he really believed in his heart that his way was a source of salvation. Like, he convinced himself that this way is the way. I can save you all. Life can be so much better if you just come and do this. And, like, I was almost convinced.
Because they almost got you with that rocky road to Dublin. That's what this tell the truth. All right, he got that little Irish jig.
I was about to go and jig, dog, because I was like, oh shit, yeah.
He was the devil, right? Because it's like he was doing that it was a manipulation tactic. But do I think that there was some level of truth behind it? Yes. But was he also like evil piece of shit? Yes. But I don't want to say that like there wasn't any truth behind the things that he was saying to humanize himself to them, right? And I'm sure at some point, this is not me caping for the white man. Please don't ever get it twisted. I'm just trying to see both sides, not on no devil's advocate type stuff, but just I can see how we got here. I can see why people are saying that. That at one point, we don't know his backstory. We can only assume what his backstory is, and if he's coming from a time where if he was alive before Britain came and colonized the Irish, then yeah, you're gonna feel some type, like you too are gonna feel some type of way, even though in this country, on this land, you still benefit, right? In some type of way, regardless of how white Americans were feeling towards white immigrants at the time. You're still benefiting from some level of white privilege. But I don't want to say that there wasn't any truth and that he did not experience, is it the same kind of pain? No. But a level in his mind, what he equates to pain, right? Because that's something that happens with like other oppressed groups or marginalized groups of people that like their ancestors never experienced the atrocities of slavery, right? And like that whole thing. And because in their mind, you still can't conceptualize the horrors. So it's not that your people didn't experience this, but like, it's still not the same because like you didn't experience the magnitude and the amount of time that Black people did. And like specifically Black Americans, because this is a Black American movie, but you can't, it's like, you know how Jamaicans say, like, you and me are not size. We're not size. You want us to be size, like, you want us to be here so bad, but like...
You cannot imagine.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't even fathom what people went through. Like, obviously he still yearned for his people, but again, in his twisted vampirism, not realizing, like, you are a corrupted spirit now.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you think that if you take this boy, you're going to be able to get his gift. It don't work like that. Which is why when they take our stuff and they try to repackage it, it don't work like that. Same.
But the fact that he was Irish was also really interesting to me. And him kind of like, no, I see what y'all are going through, because like they kind of did it to my people too. But also as Black people, we're like, yeah, but you're white. So at the end of the day, respectfully, you're still a white man. Okay? No tea, no shade. You're still a white man.
Remick. So, whiteness. the vampirism, the whiteness corrupted his essence as an Irishman and allowed him to become a part of the consumption of these other people, became a part of the destructive and extractive system overall, that doesn't care really for the poor whites as typified by that couple, the Klan couple, or the black people. I don't care about none of y'all. What I care about is what I can get. I care about consumption. I care about the amassing of power. And whoever is willing to play the game with me, who is ever willing to dance under this moon with me. You and I exist in a cultural history space. We exist in that spiritual environment, right? We having these kind of conversations all the time. I think there's a lot of people who coming in without necessarily the background or understanding, it could have been easier for them to take up. But I do see the like whiteness demands forgetting, and vampirism through Remick is like a literal embodiment of the force of whiteness. Because here is this Irish person, and even at the end when Sammy tries to reach for the stuff that his daddy taught him in the church, tries to hit that Our Father, and Remick's like, oh, I know that song.
They taught us that too.
They taught us that too. We got the same colonizers. We had the same colonizers. Well, we've been through that. Yeah, the Catholics. St. Patrick was an asshole. Like, we know that. Yeah, I know that. In which Meta, Ryan, I see you being like all of the like Catholic rites being used to cast out demons and vampires and stuff in other movies. And they like, that's y'all stuff.
And lastly, and this is a hard question, so I'm not going to be mad if you take a moment to think about it, but if you had to encapsulate this movie in one word, what is one word that you would use to describe this film?
God, yeah, that's almost impossible. Initiatory. Catalyzing. Invigorating. Honoring. It's a veneration act. It's a memory. It's a, yeah. I called it a memory mojo. That's what I titled my first write-up. A memory mojo. So I don't have one word, but that's what it is to me.
Magic.
Blood.
Ooh.
Profound.
I'm just going to say the first word that came to me, prolific.
Expansive.
I think I'll use transformational. That is my word.
I mean, I want to say it's a portal.
Right, and then lastly, and I know this is going to be a hard question because it's been hard for everybody. What is one word that you would use to describe this movie?
Real. In as much as it's a fantasy film with vampires and shit, it's real.